The forest stirs before dawn. A soft mist drapes itself between towering trunks, catching faint beams of early light that pierce the canopy. The air is cool and damp, scented with pine and earth, and somewhere in the undergrowth a gentle rustle breaks the stillness. It is a subtle sound, almost swallowed by the forest's natural hum, yet it marks the quiet presence of one of nature's most essential caretakers. A young deer steps into a clearing. Its slender frame is outlined by the dim glow of sunrise, every movement slow, deliberate, and silent. Dew clings to its coat, glinting like tiny stars. It lowers its head to graze, tearing tender shoots from the earth with soft precision. Each bite may seem insignificant, but this simple act shapes the balance of the land itself. This is the white-tailed deer, Odocoleus virginianus, though its close relatives, like the red deer, Cervus elephas, share similar grace across different continents. Known for their delicate frames, alert eyes, and the signature white flash of their tails, these animals are among the most iconic symbols of wild forests. But their role extends beyond beauty. They are nature's gardeners, influencing the growth of trees, shrubs, and even the patterns of other wildlife. Few species embody such a delicate balance. Prey to predators, yet vital to vegetation. Hunted by humans, yet resilient enough to endure centuries of change. To understand the deer is to glimpse the intricate design of the ecosystem it helps sustain. The white-tailed deer roams across North America, from the dense hardwood forests of Canada to the subtropical wetlands of Florida, and even parts of Central America. Meanwhile, the red deer strides through the misty woodlands of Europe and the rugged highlands of Asia. Regardless of the species, deer favor landscapes where dense cover meets open feeding grounds, a mosaic of shadowed refuge and sunlit meadow. These habitats are rarely static. They change with seasons, storms, and cycles of growth and decay. Rivers shift, trees fall, and underbrush thickens, creating a living, breathing world that deer navigate with quiet expertise. Today, as mist clings to the earth and spring pushes life through the soil, food is plentiful. Tender shoots and leafy branches offer rich sustenance after the long scarcity of winter. Soon, however, summer will dry the grasses, autumn will scatter acorns and fallen fruit, and winter will challenge survival with snow and bare branches. Each season demands adaptation. In spring, does carry their young, finding secluded thickets for birthing and protection. By autumn, bucks clash antlers in fierce but ceremonial battles for breeding rights. And in the depths of winter, all deer move cautiously, rationing their strength for the simple act of staying alive. But this is only the surface of their story. To understand the deer, its endurance, its elegance, its quiet authority over the land, we must first explore the world it calls home.
The world of the deer is a patchwork of life, stitched together by forest, meadow, and riverbank. Here, the land is never static. It breathes with the seasons, reshaping itself with every shift of wind, every fall of rain, every thaw of frost. In the heart of a temperate woodland, towering oaks and maples stretch skyward, their canopies weaving a ceiling of green that filters sunlight into soft golden patterns. Beneath them, an understory of shrubs and saplings fills the spaces where light breaks through, creating a buffet of leaves, buds, and tender shoots for deer to browse. The forest floor is carpeted in ferns, mosses, and fungi, a living tapestry that cushions every step. In summer, this world is lush and alive. In winter, it transforms into a stark landscape. Bark stripped from saplings and frozen streams crunching beneath cautious hooves. In mountain ranges, deer climb to alpine meadows where wildflowers bloom short and bright before snow claims the slopes again. In wetlands, they tread carefully along reed-lined banks, grazing on aquatic plants while dragonflies hover over still water. Each region, each ecosystem carries its own rhythm, and the deer moves in tune with them all. This habitat is not the deer's alone. It is a living community, a mosaic of species bound together by delicate threads of survival. Songbirds dart between branches, scattering seeds far beyond the reach of roots. Foxes prowl the undergrowth, pausing at the faint snap of a twig, listening for prey. In some regions, black bears forage for berries, while wolves slip like shadows through the trees, watching, waiting. Even the smallest creatures play their part. Earthworms till the soil, ants harvest fallen leaves, and beetles break down decaying wood to feed the next cycle of life. The deer, however, serves as a central figure. Its grazing patterns shape the growth of plants, influencing where shrubs thrive and where young saplings struggle. In meadows, a herd's feeding creates small openings where sunlight strikes soil, allowing wildflowers to bloom and attract pollinators. Along trails and forest edges, deer carry seeds in their coats and hooves, spreading life wherever they roam. To the casual eye, a deer may seem only a gentle grazer, a silent wanderer between shadows and sunlight. Yet ecologists see something more profound, a keystone species quietly engineering its world. When deer browse on low-hanging branches and shrubs, they prevent overgrowth, allowing sunlight to filter to the forest floor. This supports ground-dwelling plants, which in turn feed insects, which sustain birds and small mammals. In many regions, their droppings provide nutrients that enrich the soil, while their movements carve paths that other wildlife follow. Yet this influence is a double-edged sword. Too many deer and young trees vanish, leaving forests without future canopies. Too few and thickets grow dense, choking out smaller species and upsetting the balance. The forest, like the deer, thrives in balance, and the two are inextricably linked. But survival here is never simple. The land, as generous as it can be, also holds dangers: predators in the shadows, storms on the horizon, and winters that test the limits of endurance. To face these trials, the deer carries with it more than grace. It carries the tools of adaptation, carved by evolution and sharpened by time.
The deer appears delicate, yet its body is a masterpiece of survival engineering. Every feature, from the tips of its ears to the muscles in its legs, is finely tuned to meet the demands of a life lived on alert. Its coat is one of nature's most versatile garments. In summer, the fur is sleek and reddish-brown, blending perfectly with sunlit foliage. As winter draws near, it thickens and darkens to shades of gray and brown, providing insulation and camouflage against bare trees and snow-laden ground. The white underside of the tail, lifted in alarm, flashes like a signal flare, a warning to other deer of approaching danger. Its senses are equally refined. Eyes placed wide on either side of the head grant nearly panoramic vision, catching the slightest movement in the distance. Ears, cupped and mobile, swivel to pinpoint faint sounds, the snap of a twig, the whisper of a predator's step. Its nose, constantly sampling the air, can detect scents carried from hundreds of meters away. And then there are the legs, long, lean, and built for explosive speed. A startled deer can spring into a bounding run, clearing obstacles with effortless grace, covering up to 30 feet in a single leap. This blend of vigilance, camouflage, and speed makes the deer one of the forest's most elusive inhabitants. Despite living in a world of constant threats, a deer's day is not defined by fear. Instead, it follows a rhythm of quiet purpose, foraging, resting, and staying aware of subtle changes in its surroundings. Foraging often occurs during twilight hours, when shadows stretch long and predators are less active. The deer grazes on grasses, browses on shrubs, and strips tender bark from saplings in leaner months. Each bite is small and deliberate, minimizing noise, maximizing caution. Resting periods are spent in secluded bedding areas, shallow depressions hidden by tall grass, brush, or the contours of the land. Here, the deer folds its legs beneath its body,
head lifted, eyes half closed, but never fully at ease. Water is another essential ritual. Streams, ponds, and forest pools draw deer daily, not only for drinking, but for cooling off during the swelter of summer or washing away parasites. Deer society is subtle, defined by bonds rather than rigid hierarchies. Female deer, or does, often form small family groups with their fawns, providing mutual vigilance and teaching young ones where to feed and where to hide. Young males may linger at the edges of these groups before venturing off to establish solitary routines. During the breeding season, or rut, the forest echoes with the clash of antlers as mature bucks compete for dominance. These battles, though fierce, are ritualized, displays of strength and endurance more than bloodshed. Victors earn the right to mate, ensuring that the strongest genes pass forward. Once winter sets in, deer may form loose herds, drawn together not by kinship, but by survival. Numbers offer more eyes, more ears, and a greater chance to detect predators before it is too late. Yet, as finely crafted as their bodies are, and as intricate as their behaviors may seem, the true marvel of the deer lies in its relationship with time itself, how it bends its life to the rhythm of the seasons, answering challenges that shift with every turn of the year.
Life for a deer is not simply about existing in the present. It is about preparing for what comes next. Each season brings a distinct challenge, shaping the animal's behavior and testing the limits of its endurance. In spring, the forest awakens. Shoots push through soft soil, leaves unfurl, and the air hums with insect life. For deer, this is a time of abundance, a chance to rebuild energy reserves depleted by the long scarcity of winter. Does carry their young through the final stages of pregnancy, seeking hidden thickets to give birth. The arrival of fawns signals both renewal and risk, for the newborns must lie perfectly still for hours, relying on their spotted coats to mimic dappled sunlight and conceal them from predators. As summer spreads warmth through the land, food remains plentiful, but so do threats. Heat and biting insects test stamina. The deer's sleek coat helps regulate temperature, while shaded resting spots near streams offer relief. Young bucks begin to grow their first antlers, covered in velvet and laced with blood vessels to feed rapid growth. When autumn arrives, the forest transforms into a blaze of color, gold, crimson, and russet carpeting the ground. For the deer, this is the season of the rut. Bucks shed their velvet, revealing sharp antlers, polished for display and combat. They mark trees with scent and scrape patches of earth to signal their presence to rivals and potential mates. Battles occur, antlers clashing in sharp, echoing strikes.
but often ending with one competitor withdrawing before serious injury occurs. Winter, however, is the true test. Food becomes scarce. Snow blankets the ground and temperatures plummet. Deer conserve energy by reducing movement, browsing only when necessary, and seeking evergreen foliage or woody twigs when all else is gone. Many migrate to lower elevations or sheltered valleys where snow is shallower and wind less biting. Survival hinges on fat reserves stored during months of plenty and on the ability to sense danger when escape routes are hindered by deep drifts. Throughout the year, predators keep the deer population in check. Wolves, cougars, lynx, and bears stalk the same forests, relying on keen senses and patient pursuit to close the gap between hunger and a successful hunt. Fawns are most vulnerable, but even an adult deer can fall if surprise and speed favor the hunter. Yet predators are not the only danger. Harsh winters, disease, and injury claim lives as well. A broken leg from a misstep over frozen ground, or a parasite spread through crowded feeding areas, can end a life as surely as a wolf's teeth. Survival has taught deer a host of subtle strategies. When alarmed, a deer may freeze, its body blending perfectly with bark and brush. Only when danger draws too close does it spring into motion, leaping in high bounds to confuse a pursuer's line of sight. In winter, deer often follow established trails, packed by repeated travel to conserve energy, otherwise lost wading through deep snow. In regions where migration is necessary, these trails may stretch for miles, linking summer meadows with wintering grounds. Some behaviors are astonishingly precise. Fawns, for instance, possess almost no scent during their first weeks, allowing them to remain undetected even when predators pass close by. Bucks polish their antlers not only to strengthen them, but to shed the velvet that might catch scents and give away their presence. But for all the challenges nature can offer, storms, predators, hunger, none rivals the influence of a far more powerful force. One that reshapes forests, alters landscapes, and tilts the balance between survival and extinction. That force is humankind.
For as long as humans have walked through forests and grasslands, deer have been part of their story. Ancient hunters relied on them for meat, hides, and bone tools, following their migration patterns with seasonal precision. In caves from France to Siberia, paintings of deer, rendered with reverence and care, suggest that these animals were not only a source of sustenance, but symbols of grace, vitality, and renewal. In mythology, deer appear as sacred messengers, guardians of the forest, or guides between worlds. Celtic folklore tells of white stags leading travelers toward destiny. In Japanese tradition, deer are considered messengers of the gods. This deep cultural connection reveals that humanity has long seen the deer as more than prey, as a creature worthy of awe. But as human populations grew, so too did pressure on the habitats where deer once roamed freely. Expanding farmland, logging operations, and urban sprawl carved ancient forests into fragments. Highways cut across migration paths, turning seasonal journeys into deadly crossings. Poaching remains a significant threat in many regions, not only for meat, but for antlers sold as ornaments or traditional medicine. Meanwhile, climate change shifts vegetation patterns and disrupts the timing of plant growth, leaving some herds struggling to find food when they need it most. Ironically, in areas where natural predators have been eliminated, deer populations can grow beyond sustainable levels. Overbrowsing strips young forests bare, erodes soil, and diminishes biodiversity, a crisis born not of nature, but of imbalance created by human intervention. Yet there is hope. Across the world, conservationists are restoring habitats, reconnecting migration corridors, and reintroducing predators where ecosystems allow. Wildlife overpasses, bridges covered with soil and vegetation, now stretch across highways in places like Canada and the United States, giving deer safe passage between feeding and breeding grounds. Protected areas and national parks serve as sanctuaries, offering deer secure refuge from hunting and habitat loss. In Europe, rewilding projects are expanding forest cover, creating new homes not only for deer, but for the countless species that rely on them. Community efforts also play a crucial role. Local landowners are planting native vegetation, reducing fencing, and designing landscapes with wildlife in mind. Hunters, too, are embracing sustainable practices, recognizing that responsible population management is vital to maintaining ecological balance. Yet these efforts can only succeed if awareness spreads. The survival of the deer and the countless life forms connected to its presence depend on choices made every day. Land development can consider wildlife corridors. Roads can be built with crossings in mind. Forests can be restored rather than cleared. The deer does not demand our help. It does not ask for sanctuary or plead for protection. But it depends on the choices we make, knowingly or not, in shaping the land it calls home. In the end, the fate of this creature will depend not on its strength, but ours.
The deer has walked softly through the story of the forest, a creature of elegance and endurance, shaping its world with quiet influence. From the mist of spring mornings to the frozen silence of midwinter, it has shown us how survival is not always about dominance, but about balance, adaptation, and harmony with the land. Its role as a gardener of the wild is not marked by force or conquest, but by subtle, consistent acts, grazing, seed dispersal, shaping plant growth, and guiding the rhythms of countless other species. It is a keystone of biodiversity, a thread that helps hold the living fabric of the ecosystem together. Picture a clearing at dusk. The air is cool, the first stars tremble in the sky, and the last golden light fades across the trees. A young fawn, dappled with spots, steps softly through fallen leaves, pausing to listen to the wind. Behind it, the silhouette of its mother stands watch, ears turning, eyes bright with constant awareness. The forest is still, yet alive, carried forward by the quiet persistence of creatures like these. Every step they take keeps the ancient rhythm of nature alive. Every birth, every season survived, is proof of resilience written into the land. The wild does not ask for our help. It has no voice to plead, no words to warn. Yet without our care, it will fade, and with it, a part of ourselves that still remembers how to walk gently, how to live in balance, how to listen to the earth. The deer reminds us that strength is not always loud. Sometimes it is as soft as a breath of mist between trees, as quiet as a heartbeat in the forest, yet strong enough to sustain life for generations to come.